Alright, here's our second video about imperialism. Now, a good song that would go with imperialism if you're a Star Wars fan. Darth Vader has a theme, and it's dun 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 dun. It's called the Imperial March. What is Darth Vader doing? He actually wants to control the universe and take over these different planets. That's nothing lost. George Lucas is a big history buff. In fact, the stormtroopers are based off Nazis and things like that. So in this little part here, we're really going to move into imperialism and gaining territories and things like that. So how do we gain the territories that we actually have? Well, Alaska. All right, we actually purchased that, fairly hefty. It was called Seward's Folly until there was noticed, oh, there's a lot of oil there, and there's still a big discussion about building a Keynote pipeline from Alaska, bringing oil over, and every year that's fought over because if it explodes, I mean, it's going to be horrible. All right. Now, the U.S. through imperialism, we gained quite a few little places, and you can actually see them there. The Sandwich Islands, all these different places. And so, how did we gain these territories? Why did we even want these territories? Well, number one, through the modern marvels of mass production, we had too much stuff. And so we needed to find new markets in which to sell our things. What better way to do that than to get a country, have them buy our stuff, and they could actually benefit us as well. And kind of, I'll scratch your back, you can scratch mine. Okay? Now, some people we have here. All right, Josiah Strong is actually a reverend. He's a congressional minister, and he wrote a book called Our Country. He claimed that Americans were a special God-favored Anglo-Saxon, that means white race, who served as representatives of the purest Christianity, the highest civilization. He believed that Americans should insist on colonizing and should lift up other societies. Now this is a really big thing here because he's basically saying, oh my goodness, you can go take them over and you need to civilize these heathens. All right, and we'll move into some other stuff about that in a second. Then we have a senator, Senator Albert J. Beveridge. He gave a speech, and that is slangily known as the March of Our Flag. And he said in it, fate has written our policy upon us. The trade of the world must and shall be ours. We'll establish trading posts through the world as distributing points for American products. Great colonies governing themselves, flying, what? Our flag, and trading with us. We will grow about our post of trade. So again, markets, okay? Now this all kind of goes back to something I mentioned later on, or earlier on, and that is the idea of a WASP. Now WASP stands for White Anglo-Saxon, meaning coming from England, Protestant. And this is an idea of cultural superiority, feeling that you're better, and this ties into this imperialism. Why did we go and take these countries? We thought we were better than them. And if they didn't like it, tough. I mean, now, our excuses of imperialism, they're called the 3 G's of imperialism. I call it the see what happened was. You get in trouble, and your parents have caught you, you're going to go see what happened was. This led to this, and all these different things. So what are the 3 G's? The 3 G's are God, gold, and glory. God, going back to what Josiah Strong said, missionaries on a quest for conversion, civilize the heathens, it's our responsibility. Gold are new markets, new territories, resources. Glory, we're going to become the strongest nation. We're going to do this, and also social Darwinism. So, social Darwinism, how does this tie into imperialism? It was actually referred to as white man's burden, meaning the white man, the WASP, was actually cultural superior, and it was their burden they had to carry, oh, woe is them, and taking over these heathens. That's the idea of social Darwinism. Why is this country so superior and able to take over all these things? It is because of the fact that they are a WASP, and you are not. Now, we move to the interesting story of Hawaii. Now, Hawaii, as you can see, had a Civil War impact on our sugar plantations owned by the United States. Pre-Civil War, we had 12. After Civil War, we had 33. Why? Sherman burned all the sugar in the South, guys. That's why we have this, okay? So we have these Cuban sugar plantations, which are actually owned by Americans, and they ultimately decide, we want to be part of America. Okay? So what they did is they got the king and all these different things to sign what's called the Bayonet Constitution. Bayonet is a big knife on the end of a gun. In other words, you're going to sign this because you're forced into a corner. And then as you can see there, the king who actually signed this, and before he died said, "Tell my people I tried." In other words, he knows he's failed them. But basically at this point, they're going by American law and all of these things. They're not making much money off the sugar, and so that's not a good thing. Now his daughter, Queen Liliuokalani, actually wanted to take back some power and do this, and so she begins to get these people more about nationalism and Hawaiian independence, etc. The plantation owners do not like this, and in fact there's a big scuffle. Ultimately, they send over the Marines to basically force her down. She stepped down. She abdicated the throne. She gave it up to protect her people, and so there wouldn't be bloodshed. Okay? Now, John L. Stevens was the senator behind this whole idea of sending the Marines to protect the Hawaiian sugar plantations, etc. And this is the cool picture you can see of the Marines getting off the USS Boston, and they're raising the American flag in front of the Imperial Palace there in Hawaii. Now when it is done, we have a provisional, that means temporary governor of Hawaii. His name is Sanford Dole. His family later on will have the Dole Fruit Company, and he is there until Hawaii is made a state. There's a lot of hard feelings about Hawaii being how they became a state, etc., and you can basically see why, right? All right? There you go. Now, by the way, I haven't mentioned what is actually imperialism, and this would be a good place, and hopefully you've got a thing in your mind. But imperialism is taking over a smaller country or territory in the effort of, number one, we're going to Christianize them. Number two, we're going to get some type of territory or markets. Or number three, it's to make us look better. Okay? And why do they do it? Because they're better than everybody else. All right? There you go.